Welcome to this week's episode of Local Threads. I'm Molly, your host, and this week I sat down with Samantha Gottlich, the mother of Yellow, the self-proclaimed silly goose, and the owner and founder, designer, upcycler of No Rhyme or Reason. Samantha takes unwanted treasures and turns them into something that can be reused. She takes you back to a place you can no longer go with her nostalgic toy items, and overall just joy for life. Samantha's whimsical, she's hilarious, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
That's your emotional support, Furby. I'm glad that you brought them. They're so cute.
Thank you.
I never had a Furby.
I don't think I had a full-size Furby, but I had the McDonald ones.
Yeah.
Those were cute. These were both gifts, which I think is hilarious that people see a scary Furby and they're like, I know who I'm giving this to.
Well, there was always, I don't know if you remember this, so there's always like people have this lore about Furbies like waking up and doing things.
They're like daytime gremlins, you know?
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Did you guys? There's actually a gremlin Furby, and that's a grail find for me.
Is that like $1 million on eBay?
It depends if it has the box or not and if it still works. But I've seen it as cheap as like $40.
Oh.
And as high as like $230. So I just feel dumb if I'm like, you know what I'm going to buy right now?
A gremlin.
And I'm like, it's so freaking cute.
But it's not a gremlin, it's a gizmo.
Yeah.
A mogwai, if you will. Yeah.
Furby mogwai.
Note to self, if anybody wants to get Samantha a Christmas present. When's your birthday?
Right after Christmas.
Oh.
I know. It's in February, so it's like a really
That's right.
time.
It was just the other day, practically.
Yeah, true.
It's April.
I feel like
but
it's
it feels like it's
June.
still. You feel like it's June?
Or July.
I feel like it's still in January.
Yeah.
I'm like, where has the time gone? Anyway, we've quickly went off the rails. In case you don't know about No Rhyme or Reason, you transfer nostalgic treasures into wearable art. Whether that is a set of earrings, like the ones I'm wearing right now, which are Garfield, made them out of cake toppers?
Yeah, they were picks.
All right, so we're going to take it back to when you started No Rhyme or Reason. You started doing art first, right?
Yeah, I was always very artsy. I was in drama club. I wrote poetry. I wrote songs on the guitar. And I always loved dressing in funky fashion. And when I was in college, I was studying marketing and sustainability. And my first, I think it was like year and change, I was having weird health issues where just chest pains and like what I thought was issues with like my esophagus. Turns out that I had lupus, and it was just the beginning stages of having active lupus. And essentially I got so bad, I had to take a year plus off. I kind of got it in my head that I have all this time to really just kind of do what I want. I went from going 110 miles, taking like 6 or 7 classes at a time and internships and like modeling classes. And because I had so much free time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start taking modeling seriously. I'm going to take fashion seriously. I'm going to start painting about my lupus. And the painting about the lupus turned into hand painting yard sale buttons. So it was like a wearable painting. And then that spun off to me sewing and putting the buttons on the clothes. And then I started painting earrings. And then it just flipped out of control. And then it just became, a little hobby I was doing. And then I so perfectly graduated during 2020. And then it was like I was doing event marketing. I was doing a bunch of like face-to-face stuff. And then I was like, well, now's the time to really pursue what I was doing for fun. Just a little hobby and just lean into it. And then throughout the years, I just kept leaning and leaning and leaning until it became who I am.
Yeah.
It went from like a little fun to...
Well, it was really an
everything.
outlet to like make sure you were doing something with your time.
Literally.
Because for anybody that's working that much, to go to that, to like not being able to do something, to being able-bodied, to being not, is hard. And you basically nailed it. You were like, I'm going to do something that is physically and mentally good for my body right now, because if you completely stop, that's a bad place.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how like scary that was.
Yeah, and I got to that bad place because at the same time, because at first in my head, like I had it in my ding dong brain that I was going to graduate a year early. And I was just, like, I was ready for career. I knew I wanted to work in marketing. I knew I wanted to find a place in advertising for fashion. And I always had a drive for body positive advertising and inclusivity that way. And in my head, like when I took time off of school, I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be gone a semester. And then it was like, now that we've weaned off the steroid medication for lupus, we're finding that this medication helps with the hair loss and, you know, just like the general, like sluggish, tired, like fragileness of lupus, like the hair breaking and just crunchy bones. But then the medication didn't cover the heart issues. So then it was like, oh, back to the drawing board. And then that was like, well, you can't go back to school if you need to go into Boston like all the time to see if, you know, I have one kidney too. So it was like, oh, is this medication affecting the kidney? Like, you know, is this medication working with the heart, or is it filling up with the fluid thing again? So yeah, for a while I was like, oh, this is going to be like 5 minutes and then I'm going to be back to school. And then I was like, fudge, I really got to figure something out. Because, you know, I was at the same time I was doing modeling and runway shows, but there's only so many of those opportunities. And then you're just stuck at home, and all my friends were in college, like all, you know, life continued on. And I felt just like so stuck. I was like, I don't even know. What do you do? And you're back at home after being like free at college. It's like, man, I feel like I'm regressing. You know, I felt like I really was about to start my life, and now we're way backwards.
Yeah.
So it just led to even just like a new confidence of feeling like, okay, I can make a path for myself, and I don't need to be in college full time and running my butt off. So, yeah.
Can I ask, what happened to your kidney? Did you get sick?
No, I don't know. I think it was just like a little piece of kidney, so they just took the rest out. I was an infant.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, fun fact, I got an extra piece of pancreas.
No!
Maybe it's part of your kidney.
Oh my God.
Found it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool. When you said, I don't know, I was like, what you mean you don't know where it went?
Woke up and it was gone. Oh my God. But yeah, no, yeah, it was just like a little piece, and they removed it when I was a kid. So, no
I
big
mean,
deal.
that's good that you never had to like deal with that as
Yeah, and I guess my other kidney is like,
championship.
yeah, I guess it's like, for real, it's like apparently big, mean, green fighting machine.
Tell the people how old you are if you are comfortable.
No one knows how old I am. People think I'm either 50 or 12. 28.
And I think that's why I wanted to bring it up, because your brand is very much nostalgia that maybe you didn't even experience when it was happening.
Exactly.
I'm an 80s baby, so 80s Garfield was my jam. And so I just assumed, I was like, well, okay, you rock with Garfield.
Right, and Gumby.
Yeah, and Gumby, and so.
Yeah, my family, I mean, I was raised on like, not to sound like cringe, I was raised on Led Zeppelin, but like literally, like very briefly in my life, we had the Elmo CDs, but then very quickly it was like, you want to listen to Aerosmith? And then that led into, I was like in middle school, and I got into like goth fashion and scene fashion, and just there's so many micro cultures in that music scene and fashion scene. And my sister is about 7 years younger than me. So when it comes to Y2K fashion and like nostalgia, like I didn't watch Stanley and, Playhouse Disney when like other kids were.
Yeah.
But because I was in the room with my sister, like I know, like I have memories of it, but I wasn't a nugget at the time. So, but yeah, I'm 28. Oh my God. Graduated high school in 2015.
Yeah, you said you were a scene kid, and low-key,
Yeah. I had the hair and everything.
that's the one, like, I guess, trend, or more so, not even trend, aesthetic. Because the hair,
Slay.
yeah. But I
Slay.
think when was that even a thing? 2010?
Yeah, I think that was like 2008, 9, 10, and then it just dropped off.
Yeah.
But when it was hot, it was hot.
I couldn't be a scene kid because I was in the military, so I couldn't dye my hair at all.
I started with the knee-high Converse.
Oh, that's right.
And then eventually I got my mom to let me dye parts of my hair. And then eventually I had it was short here and then it was long. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm grown up. I'm not a scene kid anymore. And I cut my hair and I went back to brownish, blonde, whatever hair color I have. And and then I became just uber colorful. And when I was a scene kid, I was still pinks and greens. You never grow out of it.
No.
You just get old.
Yeah.
And then maybe
I'm not gonna get old. I'm gonna be a vampire.
True, me too.
I just started watching Twilight for the first time. It's so hard to watch right now.
So the problem is, the first one's
Movie?
incredible.
I'm like,
Cinematically,
yeah,
iconic.
yeah. But
it's so bad and cringe looking back on it.
because-
Don't even try reading the books. It's so painful. I tried to reread them and I was so embarrassed of myself.
Yeah.
But it was such a thing. Oh my God. Every store was Twilight to the max. I got into Twilight, I think it was my first year of middle school, because I went to a school that was 6th, 7th, 8th. And it was dude, everything was Twilight.
Yeah.
And then New Moon came out, and it was Team Edward, Team Jacob. And even the Valentine's Day candy that year was boxes of Team Edward and Team Jacob.
I remember that.
So iconic.
I was old by then. I was 20
Yeah.
something.
And probably sign you're this is cringe. And you were right. But it was such a phenomenon of the one night I did the back-to-back movie screening premiere.
Yeah.
And it was I don't think there'll ever be
Something like that again.
right.
That
And
was that was, how many movies are there? 4?
so there's 4 books and then they split the last book into 2.
Yeah.
It's so cringe, but it was such it was a time. It was a time. Just everything was Edward or Jacob and the stupid shirts that were I like boys that sparkle. It was iconic.
I remember that. And that is the main reason why every time I went to watch it, when they got to that scene where they were laying in the grass.
Look what I do. Yeah.
I was no, because True Blood was on too.
Oh
at that time.
I never watched that, but I know people loved it.
Oh my God.
Am I too close or too far?
No, I'm just excited that you've never seen True Blood.
Yeah. Is that
Guess who's got the DVDs?
I guess who has a DVD player?
Exactly. I think I'm going to have to bring you my DVD.
I would love that. Oh,
Because you're going to
ooh.
get hooked.
Yeah, because I do love it. The thing is, it's once you get a taste of vampire love stories, it never truly leaves you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so iconic.
Oh, and there's
It's
so
iconic.
much ridiculousness.
I
in this.
love it. I love the
Yeah.
campiness. I
Yeah.
love oh my God, the dumb how they
Run really fast.
yeah, and it's just brother, you are clearly in a green screen. It's just so good.
Yeah.
So campy. It's iconic.
We should go back to when you switched from buttons to fashion. And when we talked before, you talked about learning to sew from your grandfather.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. My first collection, he helped me design every piece. My grandpa lives in Massachusetts, but he snowbirds to Florida, as you do. And during all that lupus craziness, when I was like, well, I got time, I was like, I'm going to go fly down to Florida and like hang out with my grandpa. Like,
Yeah.
I love flea markets. I love yard sailing. You're telling me the weather's gorgeous. They got Wawa there. I'm going. So I end up staying with him for like almost a month. And he was so supportive. I mean, he's always been so supportive, but he has a artsy, crafty background. All the aunts and uncles do as well. So he and I came with all my painting supplies and, all the stuff. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I networked on, it was like, there used to be Facebook jobs. So I networked and I found someone that had like a mini art gallery. And they were like, well, if you're going to be in the area, like you can showcase at our event. So, my grandpa and I, we went around that area and yard sailed like, old pants and just like old denim and dungarees. And he and I, like, I drew out the ideas and we kind of like bounced ideas and he showed me how to sew and he took on the harder parts. And we ended up whipping up my first collection. And at the same time, I made those buttons. So the buttons and little paintings I brought to that art show. And it was my first time like appearing at a pop-up because it was like a tent at an art market. And then when I flew home, I had a opportunity to showcase at a fashion show. And I had just finished, the collection, and it just spiraled. Like it was awesome. Like, all right. And for a while, it was like, oh, my sewing is only for fashion shows. And then as the years progressed, it's like, wait, like I can upcycle in a different way and make it something funky without being too crazy. Because my fashion show pieces are a little nutty professor.
But they're iconic, though. Who doesn't need a Beanie Baby cape?
Exactly. I had a boa. I've done the giant Muppet cape. I've done coats.
So great.
So, I mean, LOL. So, I mean. But it's been, it's just a lot of the stuff was like, all right, like I had an idea and then that idea always stayed kind of at the bottom of the cup. As things continued, that ideas branched out. So it started as just like fun, sitting with my grandpa, like, oh, this is fun. And then like, oh, people actually like this and think this is unique and want me to showcase my stuff at their shows. And then, oh man, like people like my buttons. They want me to pop up at an event and sell my buttons and people are buying them. Cool. And then it was just like, what do I like to make? What's comfortable to make? Because with my lupus too, like some days it's like, oh, I really can't whip up buttons like that. This hurts, the crunching or the sewing, having my arms like outstretched hurts. So as I became more interested in new things and new ways to craft, and as my body's kind of like reacted, I've kind of got to grow and change in different ways. But like I said, that's always in the cup, it's always still there, the bottom of the cup, whatever inspirations I started and just like evolved into different things.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Samantha and I have art studios in the same building. And when I first moved in, I would see you carting stuff to your car every weekend,
literally
every weekend. And really, if you're at the mill, you're going to see your car. Like, I don't know how you work so much and also deal with lupus. Like, I really don't. Like, even if you feel like you're not doing a lot,
Yeah.
you literally are.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're doing a lot. And then
Thank
all
you.
the markets, like, and making things, and you wholesale,
Yeah.
and you, yeah. It's a lot. It's
It
a lot.
is.
I would crumble in that kind of
Yeah.
scenario, and I just love that you didn't.
Thank you. I've crumbled many a times.
Well, I mean, we all have.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had like one of those like life experiences where
it's
literally
short.
if I did not drive myself to that hospital and then drive myself to another hospital because they didn't take my insurance.
Shout out to a shitty American healthcare.
Yeah, if I didn't do that, like essentially my body was breaking down for a few weeks, and I had gone to like the doctors and nurses, and because it wasn't apparent, it was ignored. And if I did not drive myself to the hospital that day and advocated for my health, and I left my internet literacy class, and yeah, I just like drove myself there, and they told me like, yeah, you're literally about to die, and like immediately started performing. Like it was like, all right, let's suit up. So I feel like that experience has always led me to be like,
Fearless a little bit.
yeah, and sometimes to my own detriment, where I'm like, you know what? We're doing back-to-back events. I'm going to be doing 15 hours today, and all I need is 2 coffee and a bagel. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, wait, I still have lupus. And then it's like, oh, man, I'm not invincible. But when you've, like, seen what could have been the end, and you were able to, like, I was able to go back to college and finish, and then COVID happened. Like, I had to wait to graduate, like, in person, and, like, you know, I've seen so many stop signs that I'm going to fly through the greens when they're there. I am flying through the greens. And again, it's sometimes to my own detriment, where it's like, you know, maybe last year I shouldn't have done 14 events during Pride Month. That might have been excessive.
You did 14?
I ended up pulling out of 2 because I got stuck in South Carolina doing mascot work. So I ended up getting stuck there. So I did pull out of 2, but yeah, I was booked for 4. I booked myself for 14 and I did 12.
I literally, if I do one thing a month,
It's hard.
I need 3 weeks to mentally recover. Like, I went from having a store that was open every weekend to like, I can't, that's too much peopling.
Yeah.
To having a podcast, which is much more enjoyable because I get to pick who I talk to.
Right. And then you get like a special, like, person-to-person connection.
I get to kidnap people for a few hours and force them to let me interrogate them.
Right. Well, yeah. I feel like for me, like when it comes to pop-ups, I have like a weird, really great relationship with them.
Yeah.
Where it's like, for me, because this has been, no rhyme or reason has changed in so many different ways from, again, like I would do gallery showcases and I would ship my stuff overseas to be showcased in galleries, and I would...
Oh, where overseas? Oh my God, that's so cool.
In the UK.
Okay. London, baby. What I find interesting is that you went from painting on buttons, and I have not seen your images that you painted, and they were basically about your health journey.
Yeah. Like wicked, like tough to stomach. Not like gruesome, but I have one where it's about my hair loss. One of my personal favorites, I had large bazongas, okay? And it was literally...
In the painting or...
No, just in life, as a human being. I had like, I was like known for having massive boobs, and it was just so horrible because it was painful. And like, I love vintage fashion, nothing would ever fit. But also it was like, you met me and it was like boobs. And it really was. Like, I remember trying to find a prom dress and just everything had to be like corset back. And like, it was just horrible. And yeah, like literally, like people would just be like, "Oh, she's hot 'cause she's got boobs." I'm like, actually, I'm hot because I'm insane, not because I have boobs.
My beautiful mind.
Oh, my beautiful mind. But yeah, so I got a breast reduction. Woohoo! And they don't tell you about that is that you are going to immediately have a dissociation with your body.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just immediately
I can imagine because
traumatizing.
I gained 50 pounds.
Yeah.
During COVID, I quit smoking cigarettes and
Damn.
ate every pizza
Too real.
I could find and then drank so much Coca-Cola.
Damn.
Like any soda, give it to me. Like I was trying to replace whatever.
Yeah.
So like adding or losing that weight or proportion, like I still pick up things and I'm like, yeah, I can fit that.
Right. I
And
feel
then it's
that.
like, oh no, I can't.
No,
It's like,
it's hard. It's
yeah,
hard.
it's weird. It's I don't understand that part of the brain.
Right.
It's like, I guess it is because you've seen yourself that way for your
Yeah.
whole life. So when something changes, your brain just can't,
Can't.
either accept it or like, even though, but you wanted to do it. So it would
Yeah.
almost seem like it would, I don't know,
For me-
snap through that. I don't know.
I love it now. Now I'm like, thank God, best decision. But and everyone says that. Everyone says like, oh, your best decision, you're gonna love it. But for the thing that hit me was like, first time I had to shower, and I still had like the stitches, and I was like, essentially screaming. I was like just so like grossed out, just
Yeah.
like, oh, like just all of it, just like again, you go from like comically large boobs to like smaller boobs, but also like the scarring is fresh and it just felt like I just felt repulsed.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like a repulsion with my body. So I ended up
Yeah.
painting a black and white painting of like my body and big old bloody scars. And then like really accentuated my my lupus surgery scar and my one kidney scar. And it's kind of gross. The red I used is like very bloody looking.
That is such a juxtaposition to where you are. I
No, I gotta show you. You're gonna.
Yeah,
be like,
I
what the
have to
fuck?
see that because
It's disgusting. It's
No,
like very
I
visceral.
I like art that makes people feel things, whether that's grossed out, angry, sad. Like I feel that's art.
Thank you.
That's art.
Thank you for saying that.
And so, but to know you and to know like you're cheery and you're like, yay,
Quirky girl.
look at everything is yellow, which we'll get to that in a second. But like that, I would
Yeah.
not expect that.
I've got some. I used to. It's so funny. I used to have my favorite paintings and I've done a lot. For the most part, they're all like lupus or grief or body relationship issues, identity issues, and I used to have them on my website, but it was such a like juxtaposition where folks would be like, "Oh, cool! Like, oh my god, like this is so fun," and then like you hit the wrong tab and you're like, "Hello,
Where am I?
like what?" So yeah, no, yeah, if you scroll, just because again, it was so
Yeah.
I think the last painting I made was like 2021. That was like visceral like that. So it's like if you keep scrolling, you'll find them on my Instagram. But that's like so much scrolling that you'll probably give up, hopefully. And but yeah, no, I'm really hoping down the line to do another showcase of like those, because I used to like for the Lupus Foundation, I would not only paint like hand painted buttons. I would paint them and I would sell them and I would donate the funds to the Lupus Foundation. And at one point I would partner with like local chain restaurants and places to like sell buttons and donate the proceeds. Yeah, it was like super fun. But then I would paint buttons that were really fun and cutesy and just, I didn't want to go back to that part
It was
of
a
everything.
therapeutic process. I think Do you
I
feel
felt
like
like
it purged when you did that?
yeah, and
That's cool.
I felt like it was like, I did it, and because I was doing that at such a dark place, like I don't want to go back to that. And I
Yeah.
know, God, I follow so many incredible artists and painters that just rip their soul out and they just paint about every horrible experience. And I'm like, I don't want to go through that again. Like I've painted about it, I've therapied about it. Like,
Yeah.
so it's a dark little nook in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the pieces I've made, but I'm like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Those stay at the apartment, those stay in the office in the apartment, and someday they'll come back for a visit, but it's probably going to be when I'm ancient, when I look like this Furby.
Yeah.
I have white hair with little pink tufts, too.
So your transition to loving yellow, let's talk about how that happened.
Yeah, during that time where it was like that in between school, taking time off, lupus, that really difficult discovery journey. And again, like it's very isolating because when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, people react differently. So lovingly, some of my family just wanted to protect me and like, I gotta make sure you're okay. And then some of my friends were like, just like didn't know how to approach. And for me, I don't care. Like, I'm not dead. Like, I'm still going to do my fun things. During that time, there was like a lot of feelings of isolation or just not being able to relate and feelings too of jealousy. Like, I wanted to be in school with my friends. Like, I wanted to go to those like dorm parties or those lectures or be in school and have roommates again. And like just that whole thing. So all these like really gross feelings I didn't want to experience were happening. And during those days where I felt like I just was like in a bad place, where I was like, I just don't want to feel this way, I just started looking for yellow. So like if I was on the highway, stuck in traffic, everything's miserable, like I'm just stuck physically, I would look around and I would see like little dandelions like growing out of the cement on the highway, like and those little like
Medians.
The medians and the merges. And this is my favorite time of year because as you drive, you're like daffodils and like, oh my God, just the wildflowers are bright yellow. And then, yellow is so loud. And when you see it, it feels like a rarity when you see it like in the wild or like even like in the parking lot. Like you don't really see yellow often. So it started to become a symbol of hope for me.
Yeah.
Hope and just almost like for me, like an okay from the universe, like things are going to be okay. Like here's this little sign of hope. So it just, it became a feeling of, all right, like this is tough, but we're gonna make it through.
Yeah.
That emotion. And then it spiraled in a good way to like
your persona.
Yeah, and just like
the mother of yellow.
Right. And just like, if it comes in yellow, like why not? Like if it just
I forgot to I had like a pile of yellow clothes. I was like gonna bring you and I forgot them because I have like 700 bags I bring to the studio.
Too real.
So TBD, I've got them.
Thank you.
When I see you next time. So when you discovered that, that hope in yellow, had you already like done your branding for No Rhyme or Reason?
No, the first year and change of No Rhyme or Reason, because I was like painting, and I did do the fashion shows, but it was still kind of like a method to bring paintings into fashion. Like it was almost like I did fashion so it could be a canvas. So, I'd say like for a year and a half, I didn't have any logo, any branding. If I was doing an event or anything, the picture would just be like me.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a brand, it was like an artist name. Yeah, when I got to the point, like it was time, like, all right, like things are going well. Like I want to continue this hobby, air quotes at the time, when I had my logo made, I had to incorporate yellow.
Yeah.
And just as time has gone on, it's such a happy color. It's become just my ultimate happiness, it represents so much to me. But also, like, when I'm at an event now, and you see yellow, right, you'll find me. And also, like, there are, like in Boston, there's a few brands that, like, use yellow heavy. But for the most part, you're going to see, like, white tents. You're going to see maybe, like, pink or blue. But, like, yellow is so distinct.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Topo Chico. Hey, No Rhyme or Reason. Like, it's very, like, so.
So No Rhyme or Reason, the name, how did that come about?
So it started with kind of like knowing that the art I was actively making was difficult to explain. So with chronic illnesses, you just really can't vocalize what is going on.
Yeah.
It is just a different level. And if you're not actively experiencing it, it's really hard to relate to.
Yeah, it's like when somebody says or I tell people if I'm anxious, they're like, "Oh, just breathe," and it's like,
right. It's like, you're stressing me out.
I am breathing. Thank you.
It's like now I'm thinking of my breathing and I'm panicking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought the term No Rhyme or Reason would be a nice kind of like gloss over. So it's like, oh, no rhyme or reason to it. Like, it's just a thing. But, like, if you actually look into it, there's so much more.
Yeah.
And then that became kind of like a way of life where it was like, I'm going to live with no rhyme or reason. Like, I'm just going to, like, why not make toys into earrings?
Yeah.
Why not sew plushies into clothes? Why not have a bright yellow car?
Yeah.
Why not? No rhyme or reason. Like, there is no rule book. There's no purpose. Truly, there's no purpose to anything.
Yeah.
And, like, you can think about that nihilistically, or you could think about it, like, whimsically.
Yeah.
And be like, whatever, I'm just going to have fun. Because, like, if there's no guidebook on how life should be, then I'm going to do it however I want. And that's going to be fun and whimsical and no rhyme or reason to it.
What I really loved, what we talked about earlier or before the podcast was when people would ask about the subject matter of your art and you didn't feel like explaining it, you would say no rhyme or reason. And the ones who got it, and the ones didn't. And it was a good way to be like, go carry on.
Right.
And
if you can relate, you can relate. If you can't, I can't explain it to you. I can't. And that's kind of, that feeling has continued with what I make and sell. Like that version of my art now, where again, like the folks that get it, they get it. If you see it and you don't like it, it's not for you. It's not for you. And if you hate it,
sorry, not sorry.
Right. It wasn't made for you. It was made for my other funky folks that just want to have fun and be whimsical.
Yeah, exactly. The one question I forgot to ask fell out of my brain. Where'd it go? Oh, I think it's so cool how I probably say that a lot. It's so cool.
But it's cool.
I'm gonna like really need to stop saying the same shit over and over again.
I say the same thing. For real. I've said it like 30 times already.
So your journey through being interested in sustainability and fashion and the environment to you were diagnosed with lupus, almost died. Then you purged those feelings through art, developed a brand that has such an iconic name.
Thank you.
But then it really just shows like the progression of healing that you have went through.
Thank you so much.
And like to do that before you're 30.
Thank you. I know. I I've always been an old soul.
Yeah, I get that.
Like literally like hanging out with the old, like the older like aunts and uncles during like the holiday parties, like chatting, being like, I love Cher too. Like, like you're 7. But yeah, the sustainability aspect though, that's always been there.
Yeah.
My entire life, I have had a consistent anxiety regarding the planet.
Yeah.
Because when I was born and like my childhood was very like, you know, like I have a book in my studio right now. It's like from like 94 or 95. And it's a Sesame Street book about why we should recycle and like how we can like, let's not wash our, like take a shower for too long. Like let's buy things that you can use many times. And it's like literally a children's book.
Yeah.
And I feel like the media I grew up with was so aware of like, we need to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Because so far it's not going so hot. And my dad, who was an iron worker, he built the first green building in Boston, and they did a whole documentary about it. He ended up being on the cover of it, of like the movie. And that poster was framed in my childhood home. And I'd always see it, and I'm like, green. You know, I just like, that was, I'm like, wow, it must be important. And then what I knew as a kid, just like general TV, like, give a hoot, don't pollute. And it just always stuck with me. And then when there was an option to have it as a minor, sustainability, it was just so the obvious choice.
Yeah.
And then as I studied marketing and sustainability, which are oxymorons together. It's just like marketing, and I was actively working in event marketing. So we'd go to an event and so-and-so brand sponsored this event, and we're giving out thousands and thousands of stupid things like
merch.
Yeah, just like pop, but like unnecessary stuff like pop sockets, where if you have a pop socket, you probably don't want the brand on it.
Yeah.
And just like junk with a brand name on it. And at the same time, I'm in sustainability classes, learning about not only the economics of it, not only the environmental, you know, effects of it, but also the cultural effects, the community effects, even learning about sustainability from like environmentalists from like the 17 and 1800s. Mm-hmm. So as I'm learning about marketing, thinking I'm doing something right, I'm studying marketing because I want to influence fashion in a progressive way. And then everything else I'm learning is telling me, you're destroying the planet.
Yeah.
I was just like, I gotta, like, if I'm gonna make art to sell, if I'm gonna make things to sell, it's gotta be sustainable. Because then it's such an injustice to, like, so many people are affected. And it just leads to continued horrible suffering.
Yeah.
Truly.
It does.
Truly.
I know that it took me 10 years to get each of my degrees because I hated them so much. I did not care. But the first time I ever was exposed to the UN sustainability goals was in my master's program. And I was like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Why aren't we all just working towards this in a more obvious way? Why do we need to reinvent what our goals are anyway? Soapbox, but honestly,
for real.
It's all mapped out. Let's just all in the world work towards the same thing.
I got a little spoiled. My college had not only the sustainability minor, but they also had like a sustainability program on campus. And I worked for it.
Yeah.
So I was actively learning. I was actively learning and doing and seeing the results of, okay, we're going to go into the dorms and we're going to hang little flyers that say, wash your stuff on cold if you can, because that's like leads to less energy used.
Yeah.
And then we started seeing that, and, you know, the numbers change. And same with, I had a love-hate relationship with this event. We would have a day like every so often where we would be in the calf, and your food waste we would take to compost, and just
It's a lot of food waste.
so much food waste.
To see it.
And it just was so discouraging because, I know as college kids, like we have the option of taking as much as we want. But then when you don't actually
Eat it.
and then just the incredible amount of waste, but also like, all right, we can compost this. This is a solution. But the amount of work that went into that, and there wasn't a system in place where it could be continuous. And you're like, why? We know this system works. We know there are minor things we can do. We can.
Yeah.
And for me, at the same time as all of that's going on, I'm in college. I had health issues. I was doing modeling, and I was doing like modeling classes and fashion shows. And I'm finding out all these people I admire are getting horrible fabrics that are terribly sourced.
Yeah.
So unethical. And like sticker on your laptop, them bragging about how cheap it was. This is not, there's a difference between inexpensive because it's thrifted or secondhand or a gift, and cheap.
Yeah.
And you're finding out all these horrible things where it's like, maybe I don't admire you as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe I can do something in my own way, and maybe other people will follow through.
Yeah.
And you just gotta make the action, because if you don't do it, who else is?
Exactly. So you went from this incredibly emotional art to nostalgia, unintentionally.
Yeah.
But I love the segue because when I was doing research for this episode, I was able to like learn more about nostalgia in general, because I was like, what is even the definition? I know what the feeling is. We all know what the feeling is. But what does it mean? And it depends on where you look. There's a lot of discourse, didn't know that, about nostalgia, and the fact that some, Webster defines it as like a negative, like being stuck in the past. And then the encyclopedias, it's reminiscing of a happy time. And honestly, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I feel like if you're in a negative loop, then that's not,
Yeah.
that's trauma.
Yeah.
That's not nostalgia.
Yeah, literally.
So in this context, we're specifically talking about reminiscing about something. Maybe that history isn't perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe there's a show you used to watch and you find out Nickelodeon sucks back in the 90s or 2000s or whatever, and you have merch from that show or you have toys from that show or whatever. Doesn't mean you need to throw them away, because it's already on the planet. You already have it. Unless it gives you some visceral reaction, continue to use that thing, but also reminisce without wanting to restore. So, like, obviously, if you don't want everything to be bad, you just want the cool things. You don't know. Like, when the whole Nickelodeon show came out on Netflix, like, I didn't even notice. I think I was too old. Like, I had aged out of that. Seeing it now, it's like, oh my God, it's so obvious. All of those shows are very sexual. But, like, I asked someone who, like, watched it then, and they just thought it was funny. They didn't understand it.
Just wacky.
Yeah. So it's like, I want people to maybe think about that when they're, but like when you were a little kid sitting in front of the TV, eating your snacks,
Right, your
you didn't know.
cereal.
And yeah, of course we need to be taught, but like, that's not your responsibility as a kid. And even if you see that like thing at the thrift or whatever, it's okay to still associate a positive memory to something.
Right. And I think that association is exactly the thing. Like, when seeing it transports you back to an emotion, but like not even the subject of whether it was TV show, movie, whatever, like you looking at that toy reminds you of, oh yeah, my parent got me McDonald's that day and it was so special and I got to eat my little fries and nuggets and it was a special occasion and I felt good. I felt like I had the whole summer, summer was endless and everything was warm and cozy and we got special treats and we got to watch TV and like not even the actions of those things, but like that feeling, that overwhelming, like, wow, like that was so, like I was like, I don't want to say it's peak, but it was like,
it was good.
So special. And I think a lot of folks do, like for me, like I see certain like TV stuff, movie stuff, toys, and it reminds me of like before that 2008 recession.
Yeah.
Before parents' divorce, before these things that kind of break you out of that childhood into the scary real world. That's what those toys represent to me.
Yeah.
And like I of course, like I love my cartoons, I love my shows, but there's certain things that I carry just because I know that someone might have that feeling elicit.
Yeah.
And
we need that more than ever.
Right. And the world is actively on fire. Everything is not great. And if I can make a keychain out of a toy that was unwanted, discarded on its last trip out before it hits the landfill, if I can just spend the time crafting it, make it into a keychain, and then I'm at an event and maybe someone had a horrible week, they lost their job, everything's going wrong, but then they see that and they're like, oh my God, like that brings me back. Like when folks say that brings me back, it means way more than, oh, I remember that show. It's like, oh wait, that actually physically transported me to a place I can no longer go to anymore.
So you're basically Doctor Who.
Actually, yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know, that's kind of how I see it. And
no, I love it.
It's very, like, again, because of the way I source too, not only is it good for the environment, it's good for just promoting sustainability, but it's also, I'm looking in these yucky places where I'm putting my gloves on and I'm digging through the bins.
Yeah.
And because I'm doing the way I source, I'm getting them for really cheap, like really inexpensive, not cheap, inexpensive. And because of that, I get to keep my costs low.
Yeah.
And because of that, I can keep my prices low. And then it's more accessible to people. So more people can have that feeling of like, oh my God, that shirt has the bed sheets I used to sleep in as a child, and I haven't seen that in 20 years.
Yeah.
Now I can wear it and take it with me and share the feeling.
When I find a new Garfield or I go to your studio and see like a new toy, like I almost cry sometimes. 'Cause I'm like, oh
me
my
too,
God.
dude. Me too.
Let's do a fun quickfire fashion and nostalgia segment. If you could raid anybody's closet, past, present, who would it be?
Fashion-wise, like designer-wise?
No, person.
Person. Ooh. Oh, Pee Wee Herman.
Honestly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my honey. Oh.
R.I.P.
Yeah, truly the greatest. Like
Yeah.
what? Wow. A king. I'm gonna go out a just icon for so many reasons. But yeah, I'd like his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably like a circus performer.
Why aren't there more famous circus performers?
Because the circus was bad.
True,
And also, like, at the height of it, I feel like when circuses were popular, they quickly became like freak shows.
Yeah, American Horror Story.
Right. But I love a circus, like a clown look. I love a clown.
What is your favorite thrift of all time?
Ooh, like store or find?
Find.
I'm going to give two answers. A cool one and something I think is cool, but is pretty cringe. If I'm passing a thrift on my way home from a thrift, I might take a peek in. And I stopped at one, and for, I think it was like $9.99 or like $12, in the box, I found the martini lamp. Like the one, like still works, gorgeous.
That's cool.
And I found that, and I was like, man, thrift gods blessed me that day. And then from my nerdy, cringy side, I love infomercials, and I love training videos so much, like beyond words. And one of my top 5 training videos is the old country buffet where the guy is like cutting the meat, and he's, did you catch the big game? And it like tells you how to small talk people while cutting the meat. And I was at the thrift a few months ago, and I found an employee like vest that had an old country buffet on it. So I might upcycle it and put pictures of like I'm looking for like the soft toy meat, and I want to do like hams on it.
What's the most unexpected thing you've ever upcycled? You got some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I guess like it's not as like unexpected, like wacky, but for me, I love advertising. I love commercials. I love print ads. Love advertising. It's an art. Well, it used to be. Now it's not so much.
Yeah.
But I have throughout my life, like if I see, you thrift a VHS and there's like a vintage like little promotional flyer in it, or the Happy Meal toys would have like the little picture of like, I don't know, like the Toy Story, like promotional poster or whatever. I would hold on to those just because I'm like, oh, it's vintage and it's colorful and it's cute and it's vibrant and it is advertising. And recently, with deciding, is there a way to upcycle paper? Can I upcycle paper? Using books is probably like the most unexpected thing for me.
So do you have any upcoming projects, collections, collaborations that you want to talk about or promote?
Yeah, it's almost party time. It's almost summer. So I am going to be hitting the road. I'll be doing a bunch of cool outdoor markets soon. I'll be doing pride festivals. I'll be doing, I'm mostly booked up until October.
Oh my God.
I know. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a bunch of events and everywhere as close as like Boston and as far as California and Long Island. But yeah, I'll be having a bunch of open studios, open the little museum back up and having folks come and visit. So yeah, lots of fun on the horizon, lots of things in progress, lots of collections in progress, like a lot to come. So yeah,
I'll put where to find you in the show notes and a full YouTube video also. So if you're listening, you can also watch us be weird. Thank you so much for joining us this week. And everything about No Rhyme or Reason will be linked in the show notes. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. See you next time.